here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, going down on Sundays and Thursdays here on Main Man Made Man's Boxing, man. Want to get on here real quick. It's Friday evening. I don't want to hold people too long. I'm going to get in and get out. You know what I'm saying? Happy Friday to everybody. Everybody have a safe and blessed weekend out there. The whole nine, you know what I'm saying? But I want to get on here real quick and chop it up about this quick subject. And, I think this is very significant, man. And that is the fact that DAZN, word on the curve, is that DAZN wants to take over the world, fam. The world. You know what I'm saying? The DAZN expansion has arrived. You know, fight fans, right before our eyes, we have literally watched DAZN go from being a boy to a man. DAZN is earning its wings. We are now going to see if DAZN is going to fly. See, what people got to understand that everything that DAZN has been doing has been leading up literally to this moment. And that is the great expansion around the world. A lot of my American fans, you know, we sometimes can get a bit short-sighted. Even a lot of my boxing fans, sometimes we can get a lot short-sighted. And we think that DAZN's success depends on the rise and fall of boxing. Like, that is the smallest scope on what DAZN is trying to do. There's a much bigger picture. A much bigger picture. You got to remember that DAZN is a sports streaming service, not just a boxing streaming service. They have plenty of sports that they show, from soccer to rugby to all kind of combat sports to, football, baseball, basketball, you name it. You name it. They into all of that. And a lot of people be like, DAZN is going to go out of business all because of what they're doing in boxing. Nah, bro. This is where you will see if DAZN will rise and fall. And that is the great expansion. And we all know that the news word on the curb is DAZN is looking to expand in over 200 countries. They are basically picking up where they left off back in May prior to this pandemic kicking in. Now, remember, back in May, they were going to do their great expansion then, letting boxing once again lead the charge. And they were going to use the fight with Canelo Alvarez, and at the time that was talked about Billy Joe Saunders, to lead their charge into over 200 countries, including the UK. So yeah, man. So now it says that DAZN wants to continue its expansion into more than 200 countries, including the UK, starting with Virgil Ortiz versus Sammy Vargas on July 24th. Awesome. Let's get into this. Now, it says that DAZN is looking for what is called beta testers, and beta testers will be able to see this particular fight on July 24th for free. They have sent the email out to hopeful would-be subscribers in these 200 countries and saying, hey, man, we're giving you a free beta service of DAZN, which is like a slimmed-down version of DAZN, in which we will show you live fights for 100% free, and we want you to test our product. That's according to DAZN. So basically, they sent the email out. In that particular email, I got the email right here. The email states that, and I quote, a number of fans will be selected on a first-come, first-served basis to take part in our beta community. Beta testers can participate in beta testing, feedback, and research to help improve the DAZN service before it officially launches, end quote. So they're basically looking for anybody and everybody to sign up for their free beta service in these 200 countries for totally free, allegedly for feedback. Sounds like a bait and switch to me. We all know how this is going to go. Oh, yeah, come on. We got something for you for free, and it's a free fight and child service, and look around and, kick your feet up and chill out and enjoy yourself. Yeah, all for free. But I'm sure sometime down the line, these beta testers will hopefully become customers. You know what I'm saying? We already know how that game played. So anyway, so they send this email out. They want these beta testers, and says that they have contacted interested users by email to let them know of a new beta service that can be tried for free on a first-come, first-served basis. It says that added that DAZN's live fight coverage of the bout is reserved for the beta community testers and granted free early access to the DAZN service. So you'll get free early access as a beta tester. You get to see these fights for free. And if you're already a DAZN subscriber in any of their existing markets, well, you'll already see this fight anyway. But this is cool. You know what I'm saying? So you are getting something for free, a free fight. Shit, what the hell? Who mad at that? You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at that at all. A free goddamn fight. You know what I mean? Now it says that it is currently unknown when DAZN will expand to this full release or what the pricing will be. It says that, but it marks the first public mention of the streamer's expansion plans since the pandemic. So this is just this soft launch, if you will, a slimmed down version of the full-fledged version of the DAZN streaming service. Now, the thing is that it's rumored and heavily talked about that said that they want to do the official launch once again using Canelo Alvarez. And it's rumored to be that the official launch into these 200 countries won't come until September or whenever Canelo Alvarez decides to fight. That's the rumor that's going around. Remember back in May, prior to the pandemic, they wanted to kick off their launch with Canelo Alvarez back then, and they're still kind of doing it now. So this beta version is just like a soft launch. It's kind of reel you in a little bit. You know what I mean? Look around and see what you like. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. Now, this is good for boxing, in my opinion. This is why you hear me talking about this, because I believe that this is good for anything that's talking about expansion into other countries and you're using boxing to spearhead this. This is good for the sport of boxing. It's basically expanding boxing. By DAZN looking to expand in these countries, you are literally expanding boxing, which means guys like me ain't got no problem with this. I don't care who you like, you don't like, because Eddie Hearn involved or he ain't involved. I don't care. The fact of the matter is we are having boxing expanded across the globe. I don't care who shows it. I don't care who show it, as long as they're good fights too. Now, this is also good for Virgil Ortiz, because Virgil Ortiz is a young up-and-coming contender. Name is starting to ring bells. Well, this is great because in a time like today where these fighters are not fighting in front of crowds, so a lot of the big-name fighters are crying about money. I just heard the news of Canelo looking to take a pay cut. Bud ain't looking to do it. You know what I mean? A lot of other fighters probably don't want to take pay cuts. The fact of the matter is, a lot of fighters that do come out, if you're not going to get top dollar for this time of fighting, the thing that you want in lieu of would be exposure. And I remember Shakur Stevenson speaking on this, like, if I can't get paid a much money and because we ain't got no crowds, and maybe I could at least get some new fans because everybody would be home during the COVID time and everything. So he was for the exposure. The numbers wasn't so good in that situation. But the fact of the matter is, in Virgil Ortiz's situation, where being pushed out to 200 countries at such a young point in your career, well, that's nothing but a win-win. To fight Samuel Vargas, well, that's a win-win. Talk about exposure to the max. Even if the numbers are not off the charts, to be featured in other countries is big for an up-and-coming fighter. So this is a good opportunity, I think, for Virgil Ortiz, and technically he should be excited. Knowing that he kicking this soft launch off into over 200 countries, good for Virgil Ortiz. Good for Virgil Ortiz. Oscar De La Hoya got him up in there, man. So this is very, very good for young Virgil, man. He need to take this opportunity and look good doing it. Go in there, get the job done in over 200 countries. You know what I'm saying? Get it done. I don't know what the numbers are going to look like, but still, to me, I think this is a good opportunity as far as exposure. It also says that the same free beta test setup will be made available for the August 15th show featuring Julio Cesar Martinez when he takes on Mac Williams Arroyo in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a defense of his WBC flyweight title. So that's another fight they'll get in August. And also a third fight that they'll get is between Jorge Linares on August 28th, Jorge Linares and Javier Fortuna. So that's 3 fights that these beta testers will see live for 100% free. That's the bait. That's the bait to lay down the foundation of the expansion. Like they did with us. Y'all remember to my American brethren, how they came in here, it's free for 30 days, and then they got everybody at one price, and they rose the price, and that's just how it goes. Bait and switch. So they are baiting beta testers to come on, hey, test their product, and hey, see 3 good fights. 2 of these fights I'm wouldn't mind seeing, especially for free. I'm really looking forward to the Javier Fortuna and Jorge Linares fight. And I'm definitely looking to see Virgil Ortiz and Samuel Vargas. Those are 2 damn good fights to see for free. And DAZN will have the exclusive rights to show these fights in these countries. So that's crazy. It says that DAZN will be targeting users outside of its existing markets in Austria, Brazil, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, Spain, Switzerland, and the United States. And keep in mind, fight fans, I'm reading from my own notes. That's what I do. I read from my own notes. The original launch was scheduled for May during the Canelo Alvarez fight. Given that this is a soft launch, it's speculated that official launch will happen in September. So basically, also, it's targeting users outside of its normal 9. Those are the 9 markets, those countries that we just ran down. Those are the 9 markets that they already exist in. So they're targeting customers outside of those 9 markets. And that's basically it. That's the expansion. And it starts with boxing. So this is what I like to tell everybody. All of my boxing fans out there, they'd be like, oh, DAZN's success is going to rise and fall on boxing. Remember something. Like I said, boxing is just one spoke on the wheel. In boxing, if you go back to the plans for the original expansion back in May, it was said then that this was phase 1 using boxing, the events surrounding boxing. DAZN has invested for the last couple years a lot of fucking money in boxing, and they want to use that investment to spearhead their expansion. You get me, fight fans? So for everybody that says, well, you know, DAZN right, no, the purpose right now that they really want to use boxing for is to use the events that come with boxing and use that to expand into these other countries. It's going to take good fights, bro. It's going to definitely take good fights. It's going to definitely take foot. And people, you know, we all went down this trail of trying to look into DAZN, and a lot of people decided here, oh, they're failing. DAZN technically is not really failing. And this is after me doing a real thorough and closer look. They're not really failing. It's just that people in the beginning didn't understand their business model and what they were trying to achieve. We all, like I said, were short-sighted. They all from the jump, you got to remember, DAZN is one company in a folder of many. They decided to disregard more so those other companies to all prop up the one company in DAZN, which is the streaming service. And that has been what they have been doing basically this whole time. They've made money. From 2017 to 2018 was their best year on record. They cut 95% of their debt that year. They cut their borrowing in over in half from that year. Their numbers were good. They were making good money from advertising. They were having decent signups. The money was coming in. The problem is that they are spending more money going out than they were bringing in. But this was all being done by design, because the purpose is to prop up DAZN. Remember, DAZN was brought by Len Blotvinnik, billionaire Len Blotvinnik, and a portfolio of companies called the Perform Group. Now, over time, we've heard all these stories coming out. Oh, they're selling this, they're selling that, they're getting rid of that company, they're getting rid of this company. All of these times, every time they will sell something, keep in mind, the money will go right back into investing into DAZN. It would go back into purchasing sports rights, in which, as of today, DAZN holds $6.1 billion worth of sports rights around the world. That's where that money was going. That's where that money was going. Now, DAZN has also been propped up through the years by its billionaire owner and the parent company that owns it, and called Access Industries, which is owned by Len Blotvinnik, billionaire, worth over $25 billion. But he has infused his own money from the parent company into DAZN, over $600 million of his own cash. So people were like, what the hell? They bleed money. But technically, this was all part of the plan. Let's get more into this. It says, now this is where eyebrows started to get raised about DAZN, and it was at the end of 2018, after they had this monumental year from 17 to 18 and everything. The news comes out of the blue from Len Blotvinnik, the owner, that DAZN is looking for an investment of $500 million, and they're using Goldman Sachs to do this. And so this is what raised eyebrows like, the zone is, they don't have no money. They don't have no money because over the years, if the zone ever needed cash, they can just sell off one of their companies, whether it been their stats services or their one of their, sports betting services or whatever. They had a company to sell to infuse some cash and put it back into the zone, go buy more sports rights. Or Mr. Blavinick could come down and give the zone a loan from Access Industries or whatever the case may be. Maybe call one of their in-house investors like, yo, man, we need a couple dollars for this or for that. They've always done it in-house and found ways to find cash. So when news came out that, they are looking for $500 million from Goldman Sachs and they are looking for $500 million worth of investments, and they're using Goldman Sachs to go out and find the investors. Well, this made people go, what the hell? Because this was unlike DAZN. Not because they were so broke. No, because this was unlike them. They usually infused themselves. But what people missed about that was that they asked for $500 million, but for expansion, not to prop up the service. They've been holding billions of dollars worth of sports rights, all the money they've been making these last few years, propping up the zone, locking down certain in the box, giving Eddie Hearn of Matchroom $1 billion for an 8-year deal, giving Canelo Alvarez, which is separate from their deal, $365 million. Giving Gennady Golovkin $100 million. These are significant investments that they are looking to capitalize on eventually. And the way that they want to capitalize on is using these investments to spearhead their expansion. You see? But so when they asked for that $500 million from Goldman Sachs, it's like, what? Yo, Len Blavinick, you got it. What's really going on? But they wanted money for expansion purposes, meaning that we need more help to expand. So that's what made people go, huh? But people got to understand, like I say, they've always made money. DAZN was doing major business towards the end of 2019 prior to this pandemic and in 2018. What people don't know, DAZN had previously partnered with both Snapchat and a sports betting app called BetMGM to help create content around major fights. As well as boxing, DAZN has also signed streaming deals with the NBA, Major League Baseball, and top soccer leagues all around the world. So they get to show it in all of these countries, 200 countries plus. You see what I'm saying? They got to get them numbers up. DAZN has always made money. Remember, DAZN's highest revenue driver from 17 to 18 was in Asia. In Asia. It says that DAZN's revenue increased by 136.2% from 2017 to 2018. They're borrowing, like they didn't borrow nearly as much money. They also lost 95% of their debt by being propped up by their billionaire owner, Len Blavinick, and his Access Industries with huge investments, like $848 million in 2018. So he infused $848 million in 2018, even while they were doing good. Other investors, over $400 million in 2018. It's reported that DAZN has received over $2.2 billion in investments from 2016 to 2019. And that number probably has risen. Who knows since then? Over $2 billion of investments. So they've been investing into themselves just for this moment. Just for this moment. It says in Asia, they made over $65 million, with the region accounting for 42% of all the company revenue. In Europe, they accounts for 44% of the platform streaming sales. So they get 44% of their streaming sales from Europe. How does Sky Sports and BT Sports feel about that? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. North America region saw a turnover grow fivefold up to 14 million. That's from 2017 to 2018. It's reported by Forbes in the fourth quarter of 2019 that DAZN had made over $300 million. And this is around the time that they asked for Goldman Sachs to find the investors. So even while they're making money, they still look for money. So that should tell you something. They're not doing this for profit purposes at this time. We're in an investment period where everything that we make, everything that we get, we're investing it back into DAZN, to the streaming service, because that's going to be the thing that leads to charge. It says that DAZN, I told you, is sitting with $6 billion worth of sports rights today. And they're going to hold these sports rights for 5 years. 5 years. People hear news about during this pandemic, DAZN furloughing workers. Furlough means that these are not workers that are terminated, but they're coming back. In most cases, in furlough cases, when a worker comes back, they receive back pay. Some cases, no. But the fact is, they never terminated. They furloughed. And people going, just like every other company did. Remember something. When DAZN needed some cash recently, news just came out a couple weeks ago. They just sold one of their other companies called Gold.com. Gold.com. They made $125 million off that sale. $125 million. So when everyone says, oh, they needed cash, well, they just found the way to make some cash selling off another company. And we covered that too. That's what they do. And we all see this as a detriment. No, this is propping up DAZN. So guess what? Even if DAZN, whether they plan on keeping it or selling it, because we heard the news of they may be looking to sell it or whatever, whether they're looking to keep it or selling it, what makes DAZN such an attractive thing to sell is the fact that they got access to show all of these sports in all of these countries. Who the hell wouldn't want to buy that? $6 billion worth of rights. And not to mention streaming is the future. And we're going to get into that. So this is why everybody is so confused, because Blavinik normally he props it up. As you can see, he gave him 800 million, I'm sorry, in 2000 what was it, 18? In 2018, 848 million he gave him. But they were having a rock star year. So see what I'm saying? They were always in-house with their money. So this will starts to raise the alarms. It says but even though that they make all this money and they had 300 million in the fourth quarter of 2019, they spend 1 to 1.5 billion on sports rights a year, including giving Matchroom an $8 billion deal and a $365 million 8-year billion-dollar deal and a $365 million deal to Canelo and $100 million to Triple G. Goodness gracious. So much money as they make, they throw it right out the window. Sports rights, locking down sports, locking down countries, buying the rights to show these sports in all of these countries. That's crazy. It says that also DAZN, now here, check this out, and we're going to lead this into the next part of this. DAZN, as of today, has about 8 million subscribers. That is more subscribers than ESPN Plus, which sits at 7.6 or 7.9, depending on where you read. But they have more subscribers than ESPN Plus. Even NBA star LeBron James is working with DAZN, as his uninterrupted media company has been producing a behind-the-scenes documentary series leading up to big fights. So they in business with LeBron James, and he's in the boxing business. Who knew that? I never knew that. But that goes to show you, DAZN got juice. And I see more and more athletes on DAZN channels every time I turn it on. They got juice. They got money. We just didn't understand what they were doing. So why do they want to do this worldwide expansion, you might be asking? Why is this so important, man? Well, this is basically, like I told y'all, the MO of the former head of ESPN, John Skipper. The way John Skipper made ESPN what ESPN it is today is the fact that he went out and bought out all of these sports rights all around everywhere, from baseball to back to show all of these sports everywhere. He bought all of these sports rights, and ESPN was one of the only networks that was able to show live sports on television, all the time. And this strategy cornered the market. This made ESPN into a giant, fight fans. You got to remember, ESPN, out of all of the, with your cable subscription, out of all of the channels on your cable subscription, out of your cable bill, nobody gets more of your cable bill than ESPN. Facts. It said that ESPN gets about $6 out of your cable bill. With every other channel, most of them don't get no more than $1.50 tops. And those are the big ones. And maybe your premium ones like your HBOs and Showtimes that you're paying $10 a month extra or whatever on for. But outside of that, No. ESPN is leading the charge. The charge. All because of the same strategy that John Skipper is doing with DAZN that he did with ESPN, because he now runs DAZN. The only difference is he's doing it on a streaming platform because he believes, and looking at the numbers, they believe that is the future. Says that Skip is trying to get a head start in the race for international subscribers to sports-focused streaming services. Cable companies like Comcast, CBS is not happy about this. I just told y'all about ESPN, for example. You know, Comcast, they own a lot of companies, including Sky Sports, and we'll get to that. They don't like to see stuff like this. Disney owns ESPN. Now, it's said that Disney never worries about ESPN. ESPN is the good son of all of the Disney children, all of the companies that they own. ESPN is the good son. ESPN has been a major revenue driver for Disney over the years, major revenue driver, to the point where Disney can focus on other things, other, networks, their amusement parks. They don't have to, if they need cash, they can just go to ESPN and get cash. They never had to pump ESPN up with a bunch of cash. They can rely on ESPN. Well, lately, ESPN numbers of subscribers have been nosedive dropping. I mean, dropping. From the height of ESPN, where they had over 100 million subscribers. Well, since 2011, and I was going to do a chart up here if I did it in the other software. Since 2011, fight fans, ESPN numbers have been dropping. They're still number one. Don't get it twisted. But at the height, they were up to 100 million. Now they're roughly anywhere between 80 to 85 million and dropping every year. According to the data, people are leaving them, going for more on-demand services that they can watch, things when they want to watch it. This is a microwave society. We want to watch when we want to watch it. Things that got DVRs, I can rewind and go fast forward. I can stop here, come back and go and pick up where I left off. That's what people are leaving ESPN for. And it's services like DAZN that has that. So you see ESPN Plus emerge. I just told y'all 7.6 million subscribers opposed to DAZN's 8 million. Now, the difference in those numbers are the fact that those ESPN numbers are basically mostly in the United States. As for that 8 million subscriber number from DAZN, well, that's worldwide, which means they're not making nearly the same amount of money because ESPN can charge America what they charge America, but yet DAZN has to charge the world according to what's going on in the world. You get me? And that part of the world where they expanding into. Some people can't pay what we pay. So that's the edge. And that's why DAZN wants the American market, because of the high price tags that we are willing to pay for these services. You feel me? Now, I told you these cable giants, when they look at DAZN and what they're doing, it scares them. Moving into 200 countries, buying up all of these sports rights. They're trying to officially push cable television out the way. Like I said, ESPN Plus, you got Disney, they got Disney Plus. It says that DAZN wants to be the Netflix of sports around the world. And John Skipper is leading the charge. And he wants to put these cable companies out of business. Take it all. So companies like Sky Sports, because like I told y'all, DAZN is be expanding into the UK. Companies like Sky Sports, which is owned by Comcast, or BT Sports. How they feel about this? Now, news has already came out recently. DAZN has already kicked the doors open on Sky Sports. In Germany, DAZN just won the rights to show championship soccer on Saturdays. That's huge because that's a market that Sky Sports had locked down for a long time. DAZN comes in there and bids on those sports rights to get there, and they won a piece of it. It's big because of the lockdown, how Sky had it. They had it locked down. They wasn't trying to let DAZN creep up in there. And on top of that, DAZN got it on this deal for much cheaper, got in on this deal for much cheaper than what Sky has been previously paying. And this is all due to the fact that Amazon, who was going to be the competitor bidder in this, didn't be competitive. They didn't bid high on it. And they basically let DAZN walk away with this for the low. But they cracked into the German soccer market, something that Sky Sports had locked down. How do you think they feel about that? They're crushing into the UK. It's going to come a day when Anthony Joshua got to fight. Well, Sky Sports has the right to show Anthony Joshua in the UK, but that deal will be up soon. Will DAZN look to lure Joshua on over to DAZN? And what would that do for Sky Sports when it comes to boxing? This is what it was all about, fight fans. This is where we will see if DAZN rises and falls based on this expansion. Don't be alarmed if a year or 2 years from now you hear DAZN looking to sell, because they propped up the streaming service known as DAZN. They propped it up with so much cash. Usually in a lot of cases like that, if it ain't paying off, well, guess what? We looking to sell this thing. And that's an attractive streaming service to be in 200 countries and have rights to Major League Baseball, the NBA, NFL, boxing, MMA. Now, of course, I know ESPN Plus, they got UFC to show it in America. But shit, DAZN grabbing it everywhere else. It's like DAZN's motto is like, I can't get America. I'm just going to try to get everywhere else, and then we'll come back to it. That's crazy. Now, with DAZN's problem, they do definitely still have a lot of internal problems. Mainly, their number one problem is keeping subscribers at this time. With no sports going on, they are losing subscribers by the boatloads too. And they are not being able to lock people in for their annual subscriptions, for the year-long subscriptions. So the problem that they're having is keeping people locked in right now. And that's a problem that they can't afford, because eventually they're going to need much more revenue to come in to support the fact that they hold so many sports rights in so many markets around the world. They're going to need more revenue to come in. So to the beta testers out there, you may be lured in for free, but in a year or two, don't be surprised if your prices are going up. I hear Eddie Hearn running around talking about pay-per-view, which I ain't mad at. I understand DAZN may have wanted to come in on some subscription shit, but given the pandemic, in order for the sport to make money, you got to move the gate. You can't have venues, you can't fill them up, you can't have people in them, then you got to move the gate. And all what they're saying is, look, we ain't anticipate this happening, but if we got to go to pay-per-view, it is what it is. If you're going to do that, man, this shit got to be worth it. Worth it. DAZN, welcome to the boxing business. If you thought that the subscription-based thing was just going to just straight out work, nah, bro. You got to give continuously very, very good fights to keep someone who's not obligated to be locked in. That's the catch. And that's the problem. They can't keep people locked in, especially now with no sports. So they're going to need to lure them back. And they're trying to do it with this beta testing, I guess. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But they are dropping fast, man. And I'm dying to see how this expansion is going to play out over 200 countries. I'm with it because boxing is with it. And anytime you're expanding boxing, you can count me in. You know what I mean? It looks to me like since DAZN is expanding, boxing is expanding. And I'm good with that, fight fans. I'm good with that. So let's keep our eyes on this. Let's see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? If I was one of y'all that lived in one of these countries, I'd do the beta thing, man. You can always cut it off whenever you want. Now, I'll be a little worried about it, though, if he comes out and be like, oh, well, you could be a beta tester, but we need your debit card number, your credit card number, your social security number, your address. Why you need all this information? I'm just going to be a beta tester. That means they're trying to keep you locked down and eventually transfer you over to a customer. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Now, before I get out of here, fight fans, I want to bring up this one last thing, and I'm going to get this band out the way. I'm going to bring this one last thing up real quick, man, real quick while I'm here. And that is the fact, I don't know if y'all heard this news that's out, man, about UCAD not doing any testing, any boxes, doing any drug testing on boxes for the last 3 months. This shit is crazy, fam. Shit is crazy. It says that back in March, it was announced that reduced testing was going to happen due to the lockdown. It says that they had reduced out of competition testing and no in competition testing. For those who don't know what that means, in the United Kingdom, for their, PED test, they have this thing where certain substances can be taken in out of competition time and certain substances cannot be taken during in competition time. So out of competition time usually is anywhere outside of 12 to 24 hours prior to a fight, depending on, which the rules are for that fight. And in competition is within 12 to 24 hours of a fight. So you can take certain substances basically up to 12 to 24 hours of a fight. Certain drugs are okay. You know what I mean? So it says that they reduced out of competition testing and they did no in competition testing. Now, during this time, VADA continued to test. I didn't hear any news about USADA not testing no more. But VADA continued to test. Why the hell did they can't continue to test? You cannot, bro. You got to be diligent on this shit. You can't stop for nothing. Cycling on and cycling off. These fighters know a window like this comes up, Joe. Come on, man. This is combat sports where health and safety got to be paramount. And you cannot give blind windows like this to fighters, because there are those that is going to take this time and do what they got to do, especially during downtime. They ain't working out. They got to stay in shape. They got to heal from injuries. And you giving them a blind 3-month window, bad enough with the in competition, out of competition shit. And then you're going to come back and double down with this dumb shit? This shit is stupid and reckless at the end of the day. Stupid and reckless. It says that out of all sports, only 126 tests out of all sports, only 126 tests were given compared to 2,212 this time last year. No tennis or rugby players were tested. Out of the 126 tested, 84 of them were footballers or soccer players. What? So you do no testing of no boxers, no tennis or rugby players, but you do 84 tests of soccer players. Last I checked, soccer players don't get hit in the head, man, unless it's with a ball or something. I guess, I don't know. But they don't get punched in the head, man. They don't have to deal with issues in there later on in life. Oh, but they get tested. But you don't test boxers. Shit crazy, bro. The chief executive, Miss Nicole Sapsteed, says, and I quote, "During the lockdown, we stepped up activities elsewhere to keep the sport clean and support athletes and those around." So basically, you stepped up activities elsewhere, and that elsewhere was in soccer. In soccer. With all the crap that goes on in cycling and in other sports, you just worried about soccer. Man, miss me with it, man. But now, soccer was the only sport that was kind of still ongoing during this time. So maybe that could account for more. That's why more testing was going on in soccer. And the rest of the sports were basically put on hold. But that's still no excuse. VADA continued to test. VADA continued to test for a reason. Because they know how they could have set up protocols, had somebody go to their house in an outbreak uniform or something. You know what I mean? We got to set certain protocols. They could have kept testing going. This shit is crazy. And if you want to use the lockdown as an excuse, was the UK locked down for 3 months? Like they couldn't move for the last 3 months? Because according to this, they're not going to re-ramp testing back up to after the 4th of July. Or when these testing organizations all come back to revamp, drug testing. She goes on and says, there will always be a minority that will seek to dope. And whether that is now, when they think they are effectively off the radar of the national anti-doping organizations, or at any other time, my message to them is very, very clear. We will continue to process intelligence. We will continue to monitor whereabouts. We will continue to monitor the raft of information we have available to us, such as the athlete's biological passports. All of this helps us to gain a picture of what an athlete might be doing during this time. And if they think they are going to get away with it, then they are strongly, strongly mistaken. End quote. So basically, she's telling you, we're watching you. We're watching you. Don't do anything in these 3 months that I wouldn't do, but we're watching you. That ain't enough, lady. That ain't enough. You're talking about fighters who do this shit while the sport is in full-fledged effect. And you think you giving them a 3-month window and just tell them, don't do that because I'll be watching. Or they going to listen to your ass. Man, sit your ass down. Have several seats. Because, shorty, how the hell? Boxing in full-fledged sport, they dope anyway. And you think you giving them a 3-month window. This shit is reckless. Reckless, reckless, reckless. You can't, boy, y'all are like becoming like the worst on drug testing, man, out there. For real, just coming the worst. You know what I mean? And I find it funny, and I'm gonna mention this on the way out the door. I find it real funny. This what people ain't even looking at. I heard the news about Dillian White dropping his trainer. And then after he dropped his trainer, they said he heads out to Portugal. He heads out to Portugal, Spain, right? But that shit is iffy as hell to me. I don't care what nobody say. I'm different. I look at things a little bit different here. Do anybody know anything about Spain? Spain is like the PED hub of the world, bro. Look into how many scandals that have been hit in Spain. How many drug rings operate in Spain? Shady doctors operate in Spain. Whenever I hear about fighters going to Spain out of the blue, it makes me go, huh? And I find it funny that Dillian White, and I'm not saying nothing, Dillian White decides to head to Portugal right when after the 4th of July holiday is passed and they're talking about bringing back drug testing. I'm just saying. I ain't saying nothing. I'm just saying it's funny. He go to Portugal, Spain. Anytime I hear a fighter going to Spain, I raise my third eye. I don't say it. A lot of times I be hearing it because some of my favorite fighters that went to Spain and made me go, I mean, when Brooke went to Florida for tune, and I was looking at him like, but I ain't say anything. Anytime I hear random fighters up and packing up and going to Spain, it's just a cause for pause. Spain is like the EPO capital of the world. These are the things that y'all don't look into because our boxing media suck right now. And I'm talking all of you. Can't believe, man, boxing media right now is the fucking worst, bro. The worst. But anytime you hear about fighters heading out to Spain, you need to be worried. And that's all I'm going to say. If anybody from that area, that part of the world know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But you can't, this shit is stupid. It was reckless. You know what I'm saying? Have all of these fighters get a blind eye turned to them for the last 3 months. Don't know what the hell they've been doing. This is music to guys like Dillian White and Billy Joe Saunders' ears. Music to their ears. Disgusting. So I'm going to get up out of here, man. I don't want to stay this long. 42 minutes is way too long for me on a Friday night. Much love to the fam out there, man. Thumbs up on the way out if you did not hit it on the way in. Wanted to get on here and get the good word in, man. We will be doing We Talking Boxing again real soon. It's just that right now, with all of the stuff that's out in the sport, I need something to really light a fire in me to really want to go and do things. You know what I'm saying? And right now, nothing ain't really lighting a fire under me. But we will be back on here this weekend to do a We Talking Boxing. You know what I'm saying? Much love to the fam out there. Salute to all of y'all out there, man. Thumbs up on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Keep your eyes to the headlines on these issues, man. DAZN does an expansion into over 200 countries. This is the real plan of DAZN. Let's see, will they fall on their face or not? Now, for anybody who's been really critical of DAZN in the past, now will be the time that you judge them, because you couldn't judge them in the investment period, right? Because they were making money, just throwing it out the window. Now, let's see if all of these sports rights they bought, see if all of the money that they gave to Canelo and Eddie Hearn, let's see if all of the infusion of cash from the billionaire owner, let's see if it all pays off, all the selling off of all of the companies under the Perform Group, let's see if it all pays off for this one moment of expansion. Keep our eyes on it, fight fans. Much love to y'all, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Until the next one, peace out.